stuff. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. But I have people. I don't know if you don't know much about me. I'm Mary. I'm the director of ops and client care for Allison Simon, top producing agent in the office. For reference, we did 92.5 units last year.
What is a half unit? Tell me that.
Is that a rental? It's how they like calculate some of the rentals. It's really
Okay.
hard.
Okay.
We used to stay away from rentals, but we did 15 last year, so.
Okay. In my mind, that was a rental, but okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna go over our org chart, how we grew into it, CyberBacker's job description and hiring, how to interview them, and how to set them up for success. So a little bit about Allison. She is the #1 individual agent. She is number 5 in Philadelphia, number 70 throughout all of Pennsylvania. She's been consistently in Gary Keller's top mastermind. She's been on the ALC since 2017. We're in the top 1% of the US. To update mine, she's the mom to an energetic 40-year-old. So I have been, yeah, to update this, I made this last year, clearly. I've been in my role for over 3 years. I brought all my operations intel from Whole Foods, where I was team leader. I'm a top contributor in the operations community that I'm in. Right now I'm coordinating a bunch of meals for family reunion with a whole bunch of people.
Nice.
Because that always falls on me for some reason.
Oh yeah, what?
Because I'm the one that thinks of it, and then I don't figure it out. I'm like, thanks.
Because you do.
Thanks. All the coaches and all the other ops people, they're like, yeah, Mary's got it.
Because you do.
Because I do.
Because you do.
So I help my ops people with their processes. We're very tight knit, so if any questions they have, we help each other out. And I wear so many hats: team manager, client care coordinator, head of finance, hiring manager, human resources, listing manager. I oversee buyer seller coordination. There's a lot going on. So we have 2 full-time VAs because I can't do it all, and Allison can't do it all. So how can I focus on what I need to do, and how can Allison focus on what she needs to do? And we can still run the business in the. Here's our org chart. We are slightly off from what Keller Williams typically wants you to do. We are a solo agent team with a team of admin. So I have 5 admin under me technically, 2 virtual assistants, which are focusing today. I have a runner who runs around the city for me, placing lock boxes, checking out properties if it's, like I can't be there. Just a runner check out a potential leak situation. I have a marketing intern because I don't know marketing going to my body. We got a student from Penn who does our marketing. It's fantastic. She's younger, she can keep us on trend. She's actually in that major, so she knows what she's doing, etc. We have third-party TC, which once you get to a certain level, well, any production, I would recommend if you can, because they can take care of all that for you. We only have 2 showing agents, because Allison needs all the help showing that she can get. So when I first started with her, I saw that we could do more, but we needed to add more staff to us. After the first year with her, it was just me and 1 VA, and we increased our volume 9%. So I was like, all right, we can do more, but I'm gonna need more help with that. We hired our second VA, and we did 11 more units, and our volume increased by 36.5%. So that's kind of the potential of where you could go, depending on how you're producing. Adding staff and spending money there doesn't mean you can't produce more. It actually gives you that leverage to do so. If you think about it, you had 20 hours or 40 hours of back per week on your time. What could you do with it? What agent activities could you focus on and have someone else manage your CRM, your paperwork? Okay. Before you even get started hiring, I would recommend making training videos and how-to manuals and dig into how you do your own processes. Do you even know what to expect of a VA? Because having them kind of just like go in with nothing is setting them up for failure. So you want to make sure you can teach them, hey, here's how I like to set up Outlook for DocuSign. Here's how I like to do this. Here's how to write up an agreement of sale, write up all the paperwork you're used to. and then you can give that to your VA and be like, this is how you do it, and it sets that expectation for them to do it and holds them accountable to that. They're trained on it, and it's a black and white. Have boundaries and regular check-ins. Don't make them work 24/7. Make sure they're doing well on the personal side. And then go slow because they have a lot to learn. So we just hired our second VA. I'm reminding Hudson, we have to go a little slow. Like, I know he's experienced, but he's new learning our stuff. And we're in end of February. We're going fast. I'm going to give him a little extra time to like catch up before you're expecting him to be our second Rory, essentially. All right, so if you haven't read the MREA, highly recommend it. Leverages people, systems, and tools. So people is the who, like the VAs. Systems is how they will do it, and tools is what they will do it with. Leverage can help you with systems and tools. So sometimes VAs are prepped to be like, okay, I'm going to help you create this. Like I said, having a baseline for like, here's how I like to do it, and how they can make it better is always good. So if you don't know how you're running your business, how are they supposed to help you in the background? All right, so what can VAs do? There is this misconception that VAs can only do so much. And I want to squash that so bad. VAs can handle all your background paperwork. Like I was telling you before, Alice and I don't really touch paperwork, right? It is, we fill out a Google form and they fill out the paperwork. They prep the paperwork. Now I have to check them for details, but they create everything so that all I have to do is check. Right, they schedule buyer tours and listing appointments. So they look in the portals if anyone favorites. They say, hey, we saw that you favorited this. When do you want to go out and tour? And they can set it up with the showing agent. Allison doesn't need to be involved in that. She can just turn in after and be like, hey, what did you guys think of those properties? Listing appointments, they help me schedule cleaners, they help me schedule photo appointments. They send the initial emails to the stagers because I'm normally running around on like client specific appointments. They can send those emails to those vendors to get the ball rolling. They can clean up and maintain your database, which we spent my first year doing. And the VAs were instrumental in that. They can handle your social media. Ours doesn't because we have a marketing intern, but you can totally use the VA for marketing. And so much more. So as we've added the leverage, we've consistently grown in volume and production year over year since hiring them. So in 2023, that's how much we increased, 67 to 74. We also decided to have a weekend CyberBacker. So one CyberBacker is Monday to Friday, the other is Thursday to Monday. That way we have enough team overlap so that the weekend CyberBacker can catch us up on Monday. Hey, here's what happened for the weekend. And then Thursday, Friday, I can assign our weekend person, hey, here are the side projects I need you to work on, and here's who may be writing offers, so please be on. That's just setting them up for success every single week. Also, that adds that time back to Allison's life. She doesn't have to spend an hour writing up each offer. She can do 5 minutes on the Google form, the paperwork can get ready, and then she can just look at it, approve it, it can get sent to the clients. Ta-da, she wrote an offer and only had to do like 10 or 15 minutes of work. Really nice time back for her. All right. So I know a lot of agents are just kind of starting out and you may not have any processes to begin with, which is fine. But get to know what systems or processes you have or need in place and where you need that extra leverage. So analyze your business as a business owner to see how you're going to use these people. They can do email management, calendar management, database management, listing management, buyer seller coordination, client paperwork, social media. The tasks that we chose for our virtual leverage were ones that needed to be done consistently and repeatedly that we desperately needed off our plates. We could not have done 92 units last year if I had been only doing paperwork. That would have been insane. I had to focus on client care. I had to focus on being like Allison's right hand to make sure things went smoothly from contract to close. So handing out everything in the background was a total game changer, and it shows from all of the growth that we've had. Know your team and your workload. So this is obviously for like, depending on who I'm talking to, maybe people on a team versus solo people. How many people will this hire be helping? 1, 3, a whole bunch? How many different personalities are they going to work with? Which means how many different communication styles are they going to have to handle? How many clients and emails per year? If you interview and they say, oh, I have experience working with a realtor, knowing their unit count can give you an idea of what kind of workload they're used to. So then you can know, like, oh, they can totally help me, or oh, we will overload them, right? Do you expect them to use the phone? That's a good indicator of like, okay, during the interview process, I need to know how they communicate, how good is their English, how well do they comprehend the English language so that they can have that good. Is each team member, so with multiple agents, are they able to train the CyberBacker for their specific needs? Because one agent really needs help over here and another agent needs help in another area. Does the CyberBacker have the capacity to help with both things? And then your team leaders and rainmakers and solo agents, essentially. Analyze your own communication style. Are you a blunt coordinator? Blunt communicator? Are you easygoing? Are you somewhere in the middle? Allison is extremely blunt, if you've ever met her. So I needed to warn my virtual assistants, hey, Allison's gonna come off really blunt in team chat. Know that it's not personal, know that it's just about the business, and take it like that. And that really helps just like keep the business going. Are you going to be able to gauge if you're a good fit during the interview? Are you willing to have tough conversations about performance, standards, etc.? If not, do you have someone in place for this? Do either of you two have like hiring experience previously?
I have training experience, not
A little bit.
A little bit, okay. Cool. Most agents do not, so I basically have to be like, here's how to hire. And if you've never been a manager, you're not used to having like actual tough conversations about like, this is how you're not keeping up with performance, this is what we expect of you, this is the timeline that I need you to improve. Next up, so CyberBacker. So, I took a job description of just like an admin assistant that Allison had. I tweaked it to what our needs were, and then I gave it to my growth backer, who helped me create a one-pager of what we needed so that we could advertise to potential candidates. Note the job description we tweaked is available on mykw.kw.com. So that is where you can get all different kinds of job templates, essentially, all different kinds of 30, 60, 90s, etc. It's all there for you. I'm going to show you an example of the job description we did. Don't get intimidated by a big job description. Think small. What are like 3 to 5 things that you would be like, God, I would love to get this off my plate that a part-time virtual assistant can do for you. And that's why when we graduated from like 1 virtual and then 2 virtuals and then even more leverage, how much can we get off our plates and make everyone balanced and happy? So there are so many different virtual assistant companies. We have worked with 2, and I've heard about a bunch more. At the end of the day, it does not matter what company you use. I want to put that out there. It truly matters on the candidate, their experience, and if they are a good fit for you. That is how you hire well. Okay. The reason I like CyberBacker is because they have such great background support for our team. So all the CyberBackers in our area are in a group Slack, and they can actually communicate with each other to problem solve and also know if websites are down. So if I log in at 9 in the morning, I'm like, hey, Rory can immediately be like, download this down, we're working on it. Okay, I guess I can download. Amanda's doing an update and it messed up. All right, cool, keep me posted. So I love that. And he gets a coach when he starts and training, and it's great. So that's why we go with them. We also have a trio We have a career backer that helps you find your next hire, a growth backer that helps you with your initial job description and make sure that your business is running happily. So I do normal check-ins with my growth backer. And then the head backer is the direct coach for your CyberBacker that can help with training or like, hey, can you go over this with them, etc. I will note, because CyberBacker puts this nowhere. If someone in your trio is not a good fit, ask to swap them out. You can customize your trio. And most people don't know that, so then they get frustrated with the process. I specifically wanted a head backer that was familiar with Pennsylvania documents that could help train for Pennsylvania websites. So that's what we got. Our career backer, we've had 3 now. The first one did not know what we were looking for. The second one kept picking really poor candidates. The third one finally kind of got it. But I was like, I can't keep interviewing people that aren't even gonna work out. We need to change this up. So this is a bit of our job description that we put together. So like I said, they do paperwork, calendar, listing coordination, buyer coordination, etc. It's very similar to the one on the website from before, but it gives you an idea of like, it is a lot of stuff that they can do. Right, so then CyberBacker takes that, creates a 1-pager, and breaks it down a little easier for potential candidates, and that's what gets posted internally for them on their website so that they can start setting up interviews. If I'm not getting quality candidates here, I also look back and see, is there something that we should tweak in there? You know, did we accidentally put something in there that they're like, I have experience with this, like for example, TC. They're like, well, I've been a TC. And I'm like, we're not looking for a TC though. So can you do other like admins? What you do next, your career backer will send you profiles that meet your team's needs. You'll set up an interview with them, and then you'll have your interview. The hot tip here is customize this experience for yourself. This is another thing that they do not advertise, but this presentation is CyberBacker approved, so I don't mind sharing. I've heard that generally people get a room of candidates. They'll get like 30 people, and it'll be like, yeah, right, exactly. Really intimidating, and you don't get any background on them. They're just like, hey, here's other people interested, they're going to introduce themselves, whatever, and then from there you can pick people that you want to like rapid fire interview. I had heard that before we had started this process, and I was like, absolutely not. I was a hiring manager at Whole Foods, I am not doing that. So I request the candidate profiles minimum 24 hours in advance, because I need enough notice of them to properly review them and see if I even want to interview them. And then they call the interviews rapid fire. They expect you to interview this person that you're adding to your team within 15 to 20 minutes, and they expect you to like know on the spot right after, hey, I want to hire this person. From like a business perspective, fine, I get that. It's not good hiring practice. So I spend about an hour for each candidate, so I really have to review and know, like, okay, do I want to interview them? And then I ask for, if I like them, can I put them on a 24-hour hold? Because I need to like think about it, review it with Allison, set up the second interview. So just know that that's a possibility. You don't have to like make a snap decision with them. It's better to interview right than too fast, realize you hired wrong, and start all over. It's a tedious process, it's an expensive process, not worth it. So they take a CBPA, which is like a CyberBacker performance analysis, which is like our KPA, right? Here is a snapshot. I have interviewed over 150 virtual assistants across the 2 companies. So I know a little bit something about how to get through. Of the profiles I've reviewed, only like less than a third made it through my initial screening of their profiles. So I got really good at being like, oh, that's a red flag, that's a deal breaker. They're not gonna be a good fit for our team. Finding the right fit is so much more important than hiring too quickly. So be patient. So with CyberBacker, and with other companies, you generally get, whatever thing they're using, a KPA, a disk, something like that. CyberBacker provides an introductory video as well and a copy of their resume. So you basically get a folder that looks like this. Something I'll note that should be coming up. Yes. So I found through all the hiring trials and errors, if the job fit report is over 3 months old, I'm not getting a good idea of what the candidate is actually capable of. Especially if they took that CBPA and then worked with an agent and got a little experience and then got let go because of budgeting or whatever, and then went back to the candidate. Their ability to do certain things and their response time and et cetera can change. So I want a more recent snapshot of what they can do. Yeah, this is especially important if they gain VA experience between the last time they took it and when you interview. So I will, that's why, another reason why I ask for the files ahead of time, so I can be like, have them take it again. I know it takes an hour, but please have them take it again. The job fit report has a summary of what you want, and it gives you a range of what's acceptable for that role. We wanted to focus on high logical problem solving, high rapid problem solving, high responsiveness, and high structure. Take these results with a grain of salt and verify if they're true in your interview. The job fit report further goes into a description of each thing. So, given the characteristic, how good or bad are they within that characteristic? Some of them can be incorrect due to misinterpretations of the questions. And I've definitely found this to be true. So you should pair this with the descriptive review, which is a couple pages later, and your own verification with them. Why verification is important. This is specifically for Rory's profile, and at a glance, his responsiveness was low. But I want to highlight this line. When knowledgeable and supported by structure, he can develop speed and efficiency in processing tasks and in managing job assignments. Of the 161 job profiles that I have reviewed, I have only seen this line one other time. Rory's and someone else's. The CBPA is excellent at picking out potential in candidates and making sure that the algorithm can give you a pretty good idea of what they are. When we hired him, because he passed my verification, I saw that it was really true. And now he's been with us almost 3 years. So if you take your time when you ask the right questions, it can be a total game changer. And that's why he can now run our business in the background. This is what the descriptive review looks like. So basically it takes everything from the pages above and it's like, in general, here's what we find that can happen. It's really good to review and get the bird's eye view of like, okay, if I do hire them, what could day-to-day look like in certain scenarios, right? So trends that I found, if it mentions that a candidate likes to work at their own pace, they may not like a busy team. Because then I ask them, do you prefer working at a faster pace or a slower pace? If it mentions they want to use their own methods to problem solve, they may not be a good fit for real estate, especially Pennsylvania real estate, because we're so standardized in what we do. And candidates that have a tendency for leadership do not match well with agents who are high D on the disc, because they will want to do things their own way, and they may want to take on a leadership position for themselves that isn't feasible as a company. If they're truly not a good fit, do not spend the time interviewing them. That's why less than a third of the candidates even made it through to getting a video interview. Only interview if they seem like a good fit for your team, if you feel that you can explain or clarify any concerns you may have, and you believe that you can verify the important traits that you are looking for. So, I'm a little insane in this way. I created an Excel sheet for interviewing candidates. And Leah's like, yeah, this is trash. You expect nothing less of me, right? So I basically broke down what the interview guide and CBPA is, where they rank. So structure, I made my own system of like, where are they in that little bar? And then I have questions that are in the interview guide. I don't want to have to scroll between, like the whole interview guide and their CV, like, and their job fit report and a resume. I want to have it in one spot. I've interviewed so many people that I handpick my questions based on what I think will answer that trait the most effectively. But the guide is there for anyone who's like, I don't know what question to ask, gives you a good starting point. I also adapted 20 general interview questions from my past, just to put in there to like ease them into the interview process. It's a lot, and it's not, I can send the template to anyone, but it is like put together because I can just rinse and repeat at that point. Interviewing one-on-one, because agents don't typically know how to interview. You can ask several tell me about a time questions that speak to specific parts of their previous experience. I tend to focus on different positions that they've had because I feel that that's important to know, hey, you worked with this realtor, what was this experience like? I would say look for different answers for the scenarios you're asking about. Don't let them fall back on the same example over and over again. To me, that indicates that they don't have enough job experience to have those different experiences. And that may be really bad. They may just have like a job that lasts for 2 months and they're like, well, I have this one really bad time, and then I keep using it again and again. I count that as a red flag when I go. If you don't mind that they don't have job experience and you're willing to train them up, go for it. I'm not gonna tell you exactly who to hire, but for our team being high producing, I'm like, I need someone that has more experience as a BA to help us out. If the candidates take their time to answer a question, give them that time. I adapted this from Whole Foods interviews. We were always advised for leadership positions, if we needed to think about an answer, drink some water and just like pause for a second. There's no penalty for that. Sometimes questions come out of the blue and they're like, oh, that's a good question. Well, maybe you're like thoughtful about this. I appreciate that in the candidate because that means they're taking it seriously and they want to come up with something from their experience that will reflect very well on them. If they can say their answer with confidence, I find that this means they truly know their personal work story, their strengths and their weaknesses, and they're not trying to hide anything, or they're not trying to fluff up their past experience just to get a job. So, like I mentioned before, the interview guide provides you with directions on how to prepare for the interview. So people without interviewing experience have a little, here's what to do. So really good for any newbie hiring managers. This is an example what I was talking about, when I interviewed with Allison, I did this with the KPA and we went through the verification process of it. You can do the same thing. How does the following statement sound to you? Do they agree or disagree with them? And then you can ask questions. I typically just ask the questions unless I'm like, ooh, I want to see if you disagree with this because you think you're better at this task than not. And note that the questions change on how they score. So if you get multiple profiles, the questions for structure can change based on where they are on that bar. So after the interviews, when I'm all said and done, I did the interview appointment, I spent 3 hours on Zoom, I did all that. I will briefly run through my concerns with my CyberBacker for each candidate. I have said no to all candidates at this point if I'm just like, this is a waste of time. Also, if I get like a couple questions in and I can just tell they're not a good fit, I will just politely end the interview and start the next person to protect my time. And it happens. Sometimes people look better on paper than they do in real life, which is fine, but like, I don't know that until I'm in there. So I just don't waste my time with it. My career backer, if I say like none of these, can go back and send more profiles and I can review them and begin it again. So this way I'm saving myself and not having to train someone that's not a good fit and then start over, right? If I feel that they're a good fit, which you guys are solo agents, so you wouldn't have to go back to anyone higher. I would encourage you to sleep on any decision before hiring, but I asked to have the candidate be on a 24-hour hold, and that's when I bring Allison in. Hey, Allison, I think this candidate has promise. Do you want to, like, I'm going to schedule the second interview for this date and this time. I'm going to put it on your calendar. And then I send her the profile and the answers to the interview questions. So she has a background of, like, here's what to do. And then I have another section at the bottom of, like, second interview questions. Specifically, it digs a little deeper. We're a super small team. So one, I bring in my existing CyberBacker into the interviews for all the next ones, because that's really important to us. He is a team player. He is super important. He can catch some red flags for the prospective new hire that we may not. So that's instrumental for us. And it's really important that they're a good fit for our entire team. Are they a team player? Are they super communicative? Are they really task oriented? Super important for us. Even after the in-depth interview, we can say no. If Allison catches red flags that I didn't, and she's like, I don't know about this, I'm probably not going to hire them. Unless I can explain, like, okay, as a hiring manager, this isn't a problem. But they're good at that. So I have passed at that point as well. So, setting them up for success. Once we're ready to hire, we typically know after, like right after the second interview, so then we can bring them back into the Zoom room and be like, hey, congrats, I want to move forward with you, here are the next steps. They set up like an onboarding meeting with the trio and myself and the CyberBacker. They stay with CyberBacker for 2 weeks to get initial training. That is key. So then they're coming to you guys with some basic knowledge, and then you can be like, okay, you're familiar with the website, you know how to create a loop, you know how to like do this. Here's how our team specifically does it. So they're not like completely in the dark. And then ensure that your CyberBacker is sending you invitation emails right away, so that you know what they're being trained on, how they communicate, how they sum up their day. You can set expectations for that as well. That website, mykw.kw.com, also has 30, 60, 90s for virtual assistants or admin assistants. So grab the 30, 60, 90 from there. I literally review this within the first week of a virtual assistant being onboarded with us, so we are on the same page about expectations. And if I miss training on any of these, they can be like, I need more info on that. Or can we go over this a little more? Or hey, like our new hire, he's like, I was in DocuSign for so long, I'm gonna need a little extra time with Outlook to just adapt myself to this new system. I'm like, great, that's fine. People typically try to save this for just in-person hires. I think any team member you bring on, especially a VA that's gonna do all the background stuff, do a 30, 60, 90 with them. It can't hurt. And then training. It may be virtual, but I have my CyberBackers shadow my activities or shadow my current CyberBackers activities for a full 2 weeks. I don't expect them to do anything solo in those first 2 weeks. They shadow me, I share my screen on Google Meet. If I'm in the car, I try to have them on the phone so that I can just brain dump on them as I'm driving somewhere. If I have to take a phone call while I'm on Google Meet with them, I put it on speaker so that they can know my cadence and how I talk to clients, I talk to other agents, etc., so that they get that down and get how Simon Philly interacts with everybody else, and they know. I do this because the best thing that Allison did for me was I sat in her car and just shadowed her for my first 30 days. I saw where her brain was on any given day. I saw how much her phone was going off. I saw like how frantic, like, not frantic, but just like, oh God, there's like 10 million things. So that when she calls me and like brain dumps on me, I know, oh, this must have happened in the interim. I did the same for my admins. They have to know how much my phone goes off, what brain space I'm in. So they know, oh, 5 things come in, something happened. And they're like, yeah, that seems about right. We saw that in real time. I set that expectation so that they know day to day. There is no one size fit all. You are hiring a person. So no two CyberBackers are going to be the same. No two virtual assistants are going to be the same. It doesn't matter what company you go with. You are hiring a person. You're looking for their experience and how well they interview and how well they fit your team. Sometimes the hardest part is taking that first step of, do I need to hire? What would I have them do, etc. Be prepared to fail forward. I have failed forward on some of the hires that I did. And then Allison has this in her class, but she had 8 admin before she had me. So she also has experience with failing forward. So just, you may not get it right the first couple times, but like, as you get it, you will find someone. And don't reinvent the wheel. Use the interview guide that's provided. Use the 30/60/90. Use the job descriptions on MyKW. They're there for you. Don't try to make something new and fancy. All right, that is it.
That's a lot.
It can be a lot, but that's why I created it, because people don't think, oh, hiring, it's an easy thing. I want to put it all out there and be like, I've done it a lot. Here's what to expect. Here's how to hire well.
How much does it usually cost?
To hire?
Mm-hmm.
So it, depending on the VA company you go with, you're probably gonna have like a startup like contract cost, and then once you hire, it's like a monthly. So CyberBacker right now is sitting around $1,500 a month for a full-time CyberBacker, and half of that for part-time. And they pay them directly.
Oh, so the 1,500 include their payment, you did.
So like, I think the startup payment is like, kind of like a rental deposit where you have to do like first month upfront, and that like hires CyberBacker for a contract, and then also like gives them the money to find profiles for you, send them to you, etc. And then you pay the CyberBacker through CyberBacker itself once you hire.
And that's how much, you say 7, half of that, 7.
So it could be like, I think it's $750 for part-time. I know it's around $1,500 for full-time.
750 a month, right?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
And those numbers could depend on how many hours you want them, etc. Oh, I will say make sure that whoever your CyberBacker is, they have experience with the graveyard shift, because the worst thing is like someone may not have experience with that, and then they may fall sick on the job. If they're used to working like a day job in Manila, and then all of a sudden they have to work the night shift for America, that transition can be tough. So we like to look for people that have at least a year experience as a virtual assistant for someone in America. And then I tell them, no, hey, it's 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. with a 1-hour break Eastern time. Are you okay with those hours on these days? So it's up for their scheduling. Any other questions?
How long do you think it took? From, I guess on average, from like when you find somebody to when they're kind of working and you can start giving them things to do like on their own?
Typically, I would say give them the grace of the first 90 days, but be prepared. You may have to give them performance improvement plan if they're like, I look for, is their performance on a positive trajectory? Are they learning from their mistakes, because they will make mistakes? Are they learning and growing from them and learning new things as they go? If they keep making consistent mistakes, or their mistakes are just so numerous that I'm like, I don't know if this is a good fit, I will do a performance improvement plan for them and be like, you need to get better at this. You need to improve within the next week or so, or we're gonna have a very different conversation that may lead to termination. So I've done that a couple times. But if they're on a positive trajectory, I give them that 90 days to like prove themselves, and then I'll say I was like 8 to 10 months of Rory being on before I was like, oh, he can be pretty autonomous with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I get, like, gradually over time, I get him more and more and more. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also depends on, like, your volume, your production, how much they're exposed to. Because RPA is learning very quickly, because we are exposed to so much all at once.
Right.
So they learn. And then now it's to the point where they're like, those dates are missing on the roadmap. Cool, thank you.
Right, yeah, yeah, absolutely.